Suicide is pervasive in all walks of life. September is Suicide Awareness Month, and here to talk about some signs to look for that indicate someone may be thinking of hurting themselves, University of Southern Mississippi Psychology Assistant Professor Dr. Dan Capron. It's great to have you here. Thanks for joining us, Dr.
Thank you,
Capron.
Karen.
Yeah, this is such a tough subject to talk about, and it does seem to affect more and more people, unfortunately. They're touched by someone they know who has taken their own life.
Yes, and unfortunately right now someone is dying by suicide in the U.S. every 11 minutes, and the suicide rate has gone up 31% just since 2001. So very, very troubling, trends that we're seeing right now.
And sadly, I don't know if this isn't necessarily a trend, but it's young people primarily, right? I mean, that's the largest segment of people taking lives.
The suicide rate among young people, suicide is the second leading cause of death, but actually the most people that die by suicide are actually older adults.
Okay, and
So
I guess the young
older,
people,
yeah.
the number of young people committing suicide is certainly growing, and something that parents might be able to help and watch for signs. What are some signs to watch for? Parents and loved ones in general.
So the main signs are if someone's talking about suicide, mentioning suicide, take that seriously. I think a lot of times people think it's an empty gesture. Other than that, looking for things like social withdrawal, increases in anxiety and agitation, trouble sleeping, all of those are signs that you really want, to get that loved one some professional help.
And what's the best way to talk to a young person or a friend, a family member about this, to try to get them to seek help?
I would say right away. You don't want to have those regrets. Just telling them that you care about them. It's obviously sensitive, but I know the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is starting a new initiative for young people to kind of check in and say, "Are you okay with your friends?" Because it is a little bit awkward or embarrassing to bring up mental health issues. But I know, there's a lot of people that regret that they didn't bring them up. So don't hesitate.
Right, you mentioned that awkwardness, and unfortunately there is still a stigma associated with it. Despite the fact that there's so much education about it and more awareness, there still is that stigma that exists.
Yeah, and as common as it is, I think that's what people need to know is that, if a person's dying every 11 minutes, obviously you're not alone. So, thankfully there's a lot of good national organizations that are raising a lot of money and raising awareness. At Southern Mississippi, we're trying to do the research to, lead to prevention and do these things to increase awareness. So yeah, it's a fight we're fighting against, and it seems like we're making a little bit of progress, but unfortunately that suicide rate keeps going up.
All right, Dr. Dan Capron from USM, thanks for joining us, and hopefully this will give people a little insight during this Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Thank you.
Thank you.
Music, and more music.